Now, if we go back and we look at what it is we've been doing with our if functions, right? If we come back over here, we looked at our if here, or we looked at our if here, right? So what have we really been doing? Well, so our if function, if we looked at it up here at the very beginning, our if function had one criteria, right? Is this greater than that? One criteria. Then when we came down into here, well, now our if had two criteria. So our if and or function allowed us to expand the criteria of the if function to have 2, 3, 4, or if we looked at over here, right, quite a few criteria. In fact, what did we have? We had 5 criteria in here. Okay, so 5 criteria. So we had 5 criteria, but we still only had 2 outcomes, right? We only had 500 or 0. And over here we only had credit or not credit, right? So what if we want more than 2 outcomes, right? And in this case, we have situations in which we can actually get three outcomes. We don't just have a bonus hurdle of 500 or 0. Okay, in this case, we can get a bonus amount of 1,000, 750, or 500. Right? So we have more than 2 outcomes. So what we need to do for this is to have more than one if, because an if function only has 2 outcomes. So let's look at this, and what we're going to do is we're going to work with what's called the nested if. And so to begin with, let's just take a look at this. Your sick days is 3 sick days, and they'll give you 1,000 for 0 sick days, 750 for 1 sick day, 500 for 2 or more sick days. So right now you'd be getting 500, right? Because you've got 2 or more sick days. 3 is 2 or more, right? So let's do these tests individually here. I'm going to say, is this cell here equal to 0 up here? And enter. No, that's false. And how about this one? Is this cell here equal to this one here? Equal to 1? No, that's false. And so if we have 2 tests, if we've tested if it's 0 or if it's 1, well, we know every single other outcome would be either 2 or more, right? So that these 2 tests right here take care of every possibility we would need for our if function. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do like this. We're going to ask this first if function, hey, you right here, right? So here, actually, let me turn these into labels by adding a space before the equal sign so we can see this. And so we're going to ask that, hey, are you equal to A6? Because if you are, give back the value of 1,000 right there. If you're not, then I need you to go down. I can't just have you give me one other thing because there's actually 2 outcomes left. So what I'm going to need you to do is to go run a whole nother if function and ask if it's equal to 1. Because if it is, I want 750 back, 750 right there. And if not, it must be 2 or more, in which case give me back 500. And so the way we do this is we write if functions inside of other if functions. And so here we go. Let's try it. Okay, we're going to go equals if. And so our first logical test is going to be just this one right here. We're going to say, B10 right there. Are you equal to the number 0? Because if you are, I would like back the 1,000. And that's the if function that we're used to, right? Normally we would just put a comma here and we would put the 0, right? Because if not 1,000, then just 0. But no, we actually have 2 outcomes left. And if we want 2 more outcomes, what we need is another if function. So here we go. We're going to go comma, if, right there, start another if function, do another logical test, and this time I'm going to ask, hey, are you equal to 1? Because if you are, then I want you to give me back 750, and if you're not, well, if you're not 0 and you're not 1, then you must be 2 or greater, and that'll cover every other outcome that I have, so in that case, just give me 500. And so there it is. That's what it looks like. And you can see, so what we have is we have our normal if function right here. And then because we have 2 outcomes remaining, we have to go and write a whole nother if function. And that's the rule, okay? If we have 3 outcomes, we're going to have 1 if, 2 ifs. If we're going to have 5 outcomes, we'll have 4 ifs. We always have 1 less if than we have outcomes. Now let's finish this function. All right, so we're going to have to add parentheses until we see a black one. Control Enter to make that work. There we go. So 500, we have 3 here. If we have 0, we would expect to see 1,000, right? 0, if true, 1,000. If this was 1, well, if it's 1, we come down, we do this test, and if it's 1, boom, 750. And if it's anything other than one, even 12, right? If it's 12 sick days, we get shuffled down to the very last one, 500. This is working perfectly.